Hey guys, ramslamtheman here, making progress. So, for my last video, seeing got the oil pan off, got access to the rods, and I said I was gonna take the rods out, give the block a hone, and get a new set of rings, put the rods back in, tighten her up, and be good. So, after some time, got it out. Cylinder 1 is free, and maybe we can get a look done in there. You can see, well, actually I just took a little bit of transmission fluid to it, get the rust off. So all the rust is off, but them walls look a little bit I don't know, not fresh. So I'm just gonna hone them up and be good. This one here, I know this block, for it to be at its peak, it's gonna have to get bored out. Can you, the shadow, I don't think you guys can see that. Like, yeah, right there, that gouge right there. Yeah, so no good. But for right now, I'm just gonna hone it up, throw the ring in there, make sure the rings don't catch that edge. That one I'm probably gonna pay a little bit more attention to as far as the honing. Make sure the gouge edges are smooth so the ring doesn't catch up on it or nothing like that. Don't want to make it any worse than what it is. If this block lasts me for a while after this, you know, maybe I'll bore it out or something, or if I just get another one, then I'll just keep this as a backup. But as of right now, that's just gonna stay as is. It's just gonna get honed. So yeah, so these are gonna get honed up and it's gonna be good to go. The bearings look good on the block, I mean on the rods. The journals look okay on the bearings, I mean on the crank. Doesn't look like it has any scratches or nicks or anything like that. I felt around, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna clean it up, throw a little bit of oil on there, maybe some assembly lube, throw it back in there. Once the walls is good, I'm gonna do the same to the pistons, assembly lube up the walls, throw it in there. It's gonna be fresh. It's gonna happen with the rest of these. So yeah. So next video, this is like part 2. So part 3, rings gonna be put on. That's gonna be a while because I still gotta buy the rings. So rings gonna be put on. Cylinders. Then actually, you know what? No. Part 3 is gonna be honing once all the pistons are out. The pistons gonna be out. Then I'm gonna hone them up. Show you guys what I did. And you know, like I said, I don't have much on experience. I honed a 2-cylinder 125 engine for my dirt bike. That was the only type of honing I've ever did. So I know just do a couple quick passes, not to stay in one spot for too long. I'm just gonna do maybe about like 4 or 5 passes or something like that, just to freshen them up. So as far as what I did to get this cylinder out, or to get this rod out, this is extreme backyard mechanics right here. All I used, as you saw, I took the rod off, or I took the cap off, and hold on. Yeah, I took the cap off, and I'm not using it. It ain't gonna be good on grass. Thanks. Whew. Inside. Alright. So, sorry about that, guys. So, took the cap off, and all I used was this piece of wood. Actually, no, it was this piece. right here. It broke. I just used a piece from, you can get these sticks for like the paint. I just broke a piece off and then I just cut that piece in half. And what I did was, where's my breaker bar? I just took my breaker bar here and just rotated it until the rod was off of the crank, and then I just kept on spinning it until the crank was at a spot to where I can line up this piece of wood here with the rod bolts. So what I did, as you see, it's at an angle. I lined up this piece of wood with the rod bolts, so the rod bolts will go, one will go here and another one will go here. So I lined it up and I moved the rod, because you can still rock the rod this way. So I just rotated it around, or I rocked it to where it was at a good angle. It's like around there or so, because it comes out like that, so like right around there. And make sure your piece is smaller, or it's small enough to fit in between the next rod on the other side and the edge of the crank where the rod would go. So what I did was, once it's lined up and it's at the right angle, I just spun the engine over counterclockwise and had the rod, or had the rod crank, not the rod crank, I'm bugging, the rod, the journal resting on the bottom. So imagine this is the rod journal on the crank. Here's the journal, and it goes like this. It spins around. So all I did was I got it to right around here to match up. So when I spun the crank counterclockwise, it would hit the middle like that. So then you just kept on going, and it would push the rod out of the cylinder wall. And that's pretty much all I did. Now you have to do it. You have to do it about 2 or 3 times. No, about 1 time. Have to do it 1 time just to get it started, and then, if need be, you can get your second piece and try it. If need be, I was lucky enough to where I didn't have to use the second piece. All I did was this piece, and I just kept on going, and it worked. Then once it got towards the very top, I just put my thumb on the rod bolts, and I just pushed up a little bit, and it finally came loose. So if you're in a jam, if you're in a pickle, or just in any situation where you need to get a rod off, or if you wasn't really prepared, kind of like how I was, well, not really prepared, you just went in for the go, and you just got the bare minimum to get by, you can put new rods in your block. At least this first one here, because it is cross member, or just cross member here. It was a pain to get to that one, but the other ones should be easy enough to get to. But like I said, just because it's cross member, you don't got that much space. So if you're ever in that situation, use a small little piece of wood. That's about, what, 1/2 inch by like 3 inches, 2 inches or something like that. Something, just a small little piece of where that each rod bolt can fit on each side. So like I said, next part, all the cylinders are gonna be cleaned up. I'll get that, rods will be out, fresh honed, and yeah, I'm not gonna do the other side too. So alright guys, watch out for the next part.